Hi everybody. I'm going to work here on the censor program as described here in this assignment. Censor.py creates a list of bad words and has the user enter a sentence, potentially with some bad words in it. That program should pass the sentence and the list of bad words to a function, clean, which has two parameters, string and bad words. And that function then goes through the string looking for bad words. It returns a new version of the string with any bad words replaced by asterisks. And then there's a sample interaction there. So yeah, I'm going to go through this problem-solving process here. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to go. So ostensibly, we're trying to solve this problem, but I'm also, one of my intentions here in going through this is to kind of show you how to solve a problem that maybe you don't quite know perfectly how to solve. And if I'm doing a good job as a teacher, then when I present you with a problem, hopefully it's not something that you can solve immediately, but it's something that you already have the tools to be able to solve. And you're just trying to figure out how to use those tools, how to assemble those tools in the right way to solve the problem. And that's kind of the fun part of programming. And again, if I'm doing a good job, I will have already given you all those tools. If I'm doing a good job as a teacher, I will already have given you the tools that you need. Just trying to figure out how to use them in the right way. So I've got VS Code set up here with my little template. So this is going to be called censor. I think I called this censor test.py. So you're going to call it censor. And there's going to be a program here that's going to call, apparently I'm supposed to have the user enter a sentence and they'll go analyze the sentence. Oftentimes when I'm running or writing a program, what I want to do is I don't want to do any of that interaction stuff because that's kind of a waste of my time having the user enter something and then I'm typing stuff every time. So it's more likely the case that I'm going to set up a test case. So I'll have a test string maybe, and I'm going to put in there and say, you are a punk ass loser. And so I'm going to look for some bad words in here. And so maybe my list of bad words is going to be, sure, ass, that's a bad word, and punk. Yeah, we'll try those. Those will be just my two. This is just a proof of concept here. And then I'm going to call this function, which is up here, def clean, where I'm going to send in a string and a list of bad words. And while I'm thinking about this, sometimes I'll just write some, I'll do a triple double here. This would serve as documentation, as a Python doc, what's called a doc string, to help out with this. So takes the string and looks for any words in the bad words list and replaces them, and creates a new string and returns a new string with the bad words replaced by asterisks. That was just given in the description there. And so that's just reminding me that that's going to be there. So back down here, I'm kind of working on both of these at the same time. I guess what I'm going to do is I'll say, I'm going to print test string, print bad word, and then print the results of clean with test string sent in with that list of bad words. And that should be bad words, yeah? Cool. And then hopefully I'll get a chance to see what's going on. And I'm just going to test what I have so far here. What if clean just sends back, I'll just return done. That's not a solution at all, but I'm just trying to see if my infrastructure is working here. Bad word is not defined. Did you mean bad words? That's right, I didn't. I already made a mistake there, so where's my bad words again? Bad words, there it is. Just trying to make sure these things are talking to each other. So you are a punk ass loser, ass and punk, and then I'm returning done. So these two parts of my code are talking to each other. And this is also, I'm trying to demonstrate that kind of this stepwise process of nobody writes the entire thing and then says go, says run, and and then you see how everything falls apart. It's so much better if you can write little pieces a bit at a time and make sure that they are working as you go. You have fewer things to try and puzzle through at the end than if you know exactly that things have been working up to this point, you've solved all the problems up to this point, and now if you have a new problem, it's due to something that you just added in there. So it really allows you to focus on the issues that you have with your code as they arise. So let's take a look at this function clean now. I'm supposed to go through the string, takes the string, looks for any words in the bad words list. So there are, things that we can do. There's a replace statement in Python that we could use, but because this class is going to be using loops to work through lists and such, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go old school here, and we can take a look at the replace another time. I'm going to go old school and just go through the string. And as I'm thinking about it, if I have a string that says, you're a punk-ass loser, sometimes I'm going to be going through down here, one letter at a time as I'm exploring, and everything's fine. So I'm just going to be going through and creating a new string, setting up a new string. But if I get to something like punk, if I find the word punk, I'm going to have to put in all those asterisks in there. So rather than a for loop that's going to go one letter at a time, even though I am going to be going one letter at a time sometimes, sometimes I'm going to jump ahead 4 letters because I found punk and I put 4 asterisks in there. So I think for that reason, because I'm going to be going up, I'm just thinking a little bit ahead every time. I think what I'm going to do is say I equals 0. And so this is going to be an index that tracks where we are in string. And I'll say while I is less than the length of the string. And, I guess I'm going to need to make a new string that I'm going to be sending back after I copy all the letters into it. So one of the things, again, let me just check and see how I'm doing here. I guess one of the things I could do is I could just say new string to test this out, to play with these ideas. New string is equal to new string plus whatever is at string I. And then I'm going to return new string. I want to just make sure that my logic here is good. And I think hopefully it's just going to go through. I'm not trying to replace anything. I'm just making sure that I'm going through. My logic is good in going through this thing. Oh, I almost forgot. I equals I plus 1, right? Or I plus equals 1. Every time as I'm doing this loop, I have to manage my own thing there, my own incrementing. So you are a punk-ass loser, it says. Ass and punk, that's my bad words. I guess I don't need to keep repeating those over and over. I know what those are. And then it's printing out you are a punk-ass loser. So it returned, the function returned new string, and that's what I printed out down here. So that's good. That's it seems to be doing more or less what I want it to do. So as I'm starting to clean things up a little bit, I'll get rid of that. And let me think a little bit more about what's happening here. So I get to the first letter in there. I get to the first letter in the string. And I need to check to see if it's in the bad words. So I'm not actually going to be doing all this. I got to do something else here. So I'm at the first position, and I want to check to see if there's a bad word there. I want to check to see if maybe ass is the first thing that's in there. Yeah. What if I did this? Punk rock kicks ass. There we go. There's a nice little sentence for me. So punk is the first thing. So at the beginning here, I is going to be equal to 0, and I need to check to see if, I guess I'm going to check to see if string starting where I am now, it's 0 right now, but next time it's going to be 1 or 2 or 3. So starting at position I all the way to I plus the length of a bad word. If that's equal to the bad word, then I know I've got a bad word and I'm going to have to do something. Oh, but what is bad word? It's underlining this. Oh, So I've got while I is less than string. I need to go through for every bad word. I need to check punk, I need to check ass, I need to check all the bad words. So yeah, at this first position, for bad word in bad words. Bad words is coming in as that list, right? Bad words. So for a single bad word in bad words, this is one of those iterative loops there. So check the bad word. And if I've got a bad word there, if it equals the bad word, if the thing I'm looking at right now is equal to the bad word, then I know I've got a bad word. And what do I have to do? I'm going to put however many letters there are in this bad word. New string is going to get that many asterisks in there. So I'm going to do asterisk times length of the bad word. If bad word is ass, length of bad word is 3. 3 times these asterisks will get added in there. And I plus equals 3, my little index here that's going through, I've just copied 3 asterisks in there. So basically I need to skip over the rest of the word, I think. So that's kind of cool. But if that's not the case, if that's not the case, then I'm just going to put whatever the letter is. If I didn't find a bad word, I'll just copy into new string the letter that I'm currently at, string square brackets I. And then once I get done, yeah, I'm going to return that new string. Now this isn't really going to work. This actually isn't going to work because why? Let's try it out and see what happens when we run this. It went through. You were a podcast. Oh, here I go. It looks like it's stuck. Is it just running through? It's not really doing anything. It looks like it might be stuck or something. Oh, that's right, because this is me playing around trying to figure out how the program works. I plus equals 1. Here I just added 1 letter, and I need to add 1 to my I counter to get going. Okay, cool. Well, let me try this new version. Glad I caught that. Punk rock kicks ass. So it found the ass, but it didn't find the punk. I'm not sure what's going on there. It looks like there may be some issues with this. Not sure what the story is. It occurs to me, that's interesting. That's interesting. It occurs to me as I'm looking at this that look at what's happening here. I'm checking to see for bad word and bad words. If I find the bad word right away, then I'm gonna do this I plus equals 3. If I don't find the bad word, I'm going on to the next letter and skipping the possibility that the word that I'm looking for later on, like I looked for ass and it didn't show up, so I just said, okay, well, I'm moving on. I never had a chance to check out punk, which was the first word there, and that's why it didn't catch that punk there. That would, I was kind of expecting that might show up, and that would be one of those things where if I wasn't thinking about that or not expecting that, it might take me a long time to figure out what's going on there. So here's, I'm gonna have to think about what's going on here. I definitely need to check all the bad words. If I didn't find the bad word, if I've got an else here, if I didn't find the bad word, I can't just move on. I can't just leave. I have to continue checking all the other words. But if I did find it, I don't want to check any of the other words. So that's making me think maybe I need a flag. Something like this. Found bad word is equal to false. And this is something that can be super useful. We'll use this over and over. Found bad word is going to start out as false. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all the bad words here. And if I do find a bad word, I'm going to say found, in addition to adding 3 and adding those stars in there, I'm going to say found a bad word is equal to true because I found a bad word, right? I'm setting that flag, and I'm going to break out of the bad words loop. Break out of bad words loop. I don't need to look for any bad words because I already found out that there's a bad word in here. And I'm breaking out of that loop so that I can continue looking through the rest of the string. So what do I do with that? Well, I'm just going to keep on going through that loop. By the time I get done with this bad words loop over here, I'm not going to have an else for my if statement. By the time I get done with this bad words loop, I think I'm going to check to see if the word I found was a bad loop. Because there's two ways I can get down here now, right? One way I can get down outside of the loop here is if I broke out of the loop because found bad word was true. Another way I could get down to this is if I just go through all the bad words and I never found a bad word. So I think what I'm going to do down here then is check to see if found a bad word. If I found a bad word, then I'm done. I don't need to do anything. I already added one to I. I added the asterisks in there, so I'm done. I'll just go up to that next one. But if I didn't find a bad word after I got through all that, let's go in here, sorry, a little out of control. If not found bad word, if I just fell out down to the bottom here because I never found a bad word, then I'm just going to add in the letter that I've got there, and I'll set I equal to 1, or I plus equals 1. And that's going to take me back up to the loop, and now I'm going to, again, assume I don't have a bad word, start going through the bad words, looking to see what happens. I think that logic might work. By the time I get done asking or going through all of those, then I think I'll be in good shape. Let's try this and see what happens. Who knows? Punk rock kicks ass. This is interesting. I got a P-U-N-K, but it looks like it didn't quite advance enough there. Oh, because I equals I plus 3. Oh, you probably caught that a long time ago. I don't want to add 3. That was 3 for ass, but for punk it's 4. I need to add the length of whatever the word is. Let's try that and see what happens. Word is not defined. Oh, length of the bad word. Length of bad word. I think we might be there. I think this might be it. Let's see. Blank rock kicks blank. That looks like it might. I want to do a few more tests on this, but it looks like on the face of it, I've more or less solved the problem here. Yeah, that's awesome. The last thing I really have to do is just kind of clean this up so that maybe it's got the specific requirements of this all put in there. So I'll go ahead and rather than having a test string, I'll say string equals input. Enter a string and don't use any bad words. And so they're going to type that in. I'll set up my bad words, and maybe I'll have a few more bad words in here. Shoot, darn, and heck. Oh, sorry, was there another, like a 5-letter one that I can do? Oh, shoot. Yeah, shoot's in there. That's 5 letters. We're good. I'll put in heck and call it good. There we go. Quick question for you. We know about tuples. Do I need to, am I going to be modifying these bad words at any point as I'm running this program, or is that just a list that's going to stay the same the entire time? I think there's not going to be any modifications throughout this, so one of the things I could do to make this just a little bit more correct is I could set up bad words as a constant here, and I could make sure that these aren't going to get changed by using a tuple. That tuple has all those things in there. Everything else works out just the same, except I do need to make this bad words. There we go. And let's try that out and see what happens. I'll give myself a little bit more room here. Clear this out and run and see what happens. Enter a string. Shoot. This program was darn hard. And it blew up. Test string not defined. Oh, yeah, there's always something. There's always something. Look at that. Get rid of string. All right, here we go. Shoot, this program was darn hard. And shoot, this program was darn hard. I think this is probably pretty good, so I'm all set to turn it in. Again, the most important thing, as far as I'm concerned, as we're going through this Python bootcamp, is not so much getting the program nailed down every time, although that's a happy side effect of learning how to program and learning how to debug and learning how to, consider using a flag to identify something that otherwise is going to be a little bit challenging for you to figure out. And certainly testing as you go. Testing as you go is so huge, and most people learn that pretty quickly on. The programs we're going to be writing in here occasionally get pretty complex, and so that idea of testing as you go, huge. All right, hope that helps.